African homes are distracted by hustle, by expectations, by the pursuit of success. Children are growing up lost in digital wilderness, seeking belonging and finding it in dangerous corners. This is not just a story. It's a warning. All parents need to watch this before another child gets lost in the noise.
Mr. Adeyemi was a well-respected civil engineer, and his wife, Chinelo, owned a thriving boutique. They lived in a duplex with their two children, 14-year-old Joshua and 10-year-old Tenny. From the outside, they looked like the perfect family. But behind their perfectly curated social media smiles was a dangerous void. One many modern African families face: emotional disconnection. This is the story every parent must hear before it's too late. It started with a hashtag, #BreakTheBox. That was the slogan of a faceless online group known only as The Rebellion. To most parents, it was just another youth trend. But to vulnerable teens like Joshua, it was a secret movement. One that promised freedom, power, and most dangerously, belonging. Joshua stumbled on them late one night, scrolling through TikTok while his parents slept soundly in their room. Their doors closed, their connection to him long severed. A video played. A teenager burned his school books on camera, laughing wildly as his friends cheered in the background. The caption read, "This is what freedom looks like. #BreakTheBox. Thousands of likes. Thousands of comments. Joshua watched, hypnotized. He started following their pages. At first, it was out of curiosity. But soon, it turned into something more. These people talked about things he felt: anger, pressure, loneliness. They told him it was okay to rebel. In fact, they encouraged it. "Parents are the problem," one post read. "School is a scam," another claimed. "Be your own master. Blow up. Go viral. That's how you win in this life." Joshua wasn't just watching anymore. He was learning. He joined a private Telegram group chat called Rebel HQ, West Africa. That's where he met Kushboy, Diva_Fire, and Zedmad, usernames of teens like him, spread across Lagos, Nairobi, Accra, all with one goal: to escape their parents' control and become online gods. One night, Zedmad posted a challenge. "Film yourself skipping school and doing something raw. We'll repost it. Get 1K likes, and you're officially one of us." Joshua hesitated. But then he thought about his father, who hadn't asked. Tenny was only 10 years old, small, curious, and far wiser than her age. While the world ignored Joshua's slow unraveling, she noticed. She always had. He no longer played with her. He used to call her Princess Tenny and help with her homework. Now, he barely spoke a word to her. His door was always locked. And when he came out, he was different, edgy, distant, eyes always fixed on his phone like it held the keys to another world. But it wasn't just the silence. She'd once peeked into his room and saw strange things on his wall: dark symbols, a list titled "Go Viral or Die Trying," and a screenshot of a comment: "J Rebel, you're the future." One night, she saw him sneak out through the back door. It was almost 1 a.m. She crept to the window and watched him walk into the darkness with a hoodie over his head. The next day, when he returned, he had a bruised elbow and a gash on his knuckle. He told their parents it was a football injury. But Tenny knew he hadn't touched a football in months. She waited until dinner that night, mustering all her courage. Her small voice broke the silence. "Mummy, I think Joshua is doing something bad online." Chinelo, halfway through her plate of jollof rice, didn't even glance up. "Why would you say that? Stop talking like that about your brother." Tenny tried again, her voice shaking. "I saw a video. He was fighting. He was shouting something about fire and freedom." Chinelo frowned and dropped her spoon. "Tenny, what were you doing on TikTok, eh? Didn't I tell you it's for adults?" "I used a school phone," she confessed, tears pooling in her eyes. "They were talking about something called the rebellion." "Mummy," Joshua was smoking. That word, smoking, should have set off alarms. But Chinelo just hissed. "You children of nowadays will say anything just to be noticed. Don't spy on your brother again. You hear me? What nonsense. Tenny looked at her mother in disbelief. For the first time in her short life, she realized something heartbreaking. Her mother didn't want to see the truth, even if it slapped her in the face. That night, Tenny sat at the edge of her bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above. The house was quiet, but her heart was not. She clutched her teddy bear and whispered, "God, please help my brother. Please help my mummy see." Meanwhile, in the next room, Joshua was on a video call with Cushboy and Diva_Fire. "We're planning something big this Friday," Cushboy said. "Real-life content. Something they can't ignore." Joshua's lips curved into a grin. "I'm in." He didn't know that outside his door, Tenny had crept close again. And this time, she recorded the conversation. She would do what her parents refused to do, pay attention. But she had no idea the storm that was coming. Friday started like every other day in the Adeyemi household. Rushed, distant, quiet. Mr. Adeyemi left early for a site inspection. Chinelo was busy selecting fabrics for a client in Abuja. Tenny sat silently at the dining table, barely touching her cereal. But in her heart, panic brewed like a rising storm. Joshua didn't come out of his room. By noon, his phone was off. His school called to report that he hadn't shown up. Again. That was when the walls finally began to crack. "Maybe he's just at the library," Chinelo said nervously, scrolling through Instagram. But deep inside, she knew. And Tenny knew too. "Mummy," Tenny whispered, holding up her phone. "I recorded Joshua and his friends. They were planning something. He said they were going to make noise the whole city would hear. Please watch it." Chinelo hesitated. Then she snatched the phone and played the clip. "We're done playing safe," Joshua's voice said. "Tonight, we go viral. Real street content. Fearless." Chinelo's heart sank. She dropped the phone. "Call your father. Now." By 8:47 p.m., Joshua was still missing. The entire house was in chaos. Mr. Adeyemi had driven to his school, his friends' homes, even the nearby football fields. Nothing. Chinelo couldn't breathe. She stared at her son's last Instagram story, posted an hour earlier, a blurry shot of a dark street, with the caption, "Tonight we rise. Rebel for life." Just then, a notification popped up. Port Harcourt boys caught on CCTV attempting break-in, goes viral. Chinelo's hands trembled as she clicked the video. There he was, her son. Masked but unmistakable. Holding a crowbar, kicking down the side door of a provision store with two other boys. A voice behind the camera cheered, "J Rebel, you day mad oh." Her phone slipped from her hand. Her legs gave way. She screamed, "Joshua!" At 11:03 p.m., there was a knock on the door. Two police officers stood there. One of them, older and kind-eyed, removed his cap. "Mr. and Mrs. Adeyemi, your son has been arrested for attempted robbery and unlawful gathering. We found drugs on one of the other boys. His at the juvenile division." Mr. Adeyemi didn't speak. He simply collapsed onto the couch, numb. Chinelo wept uncontrollably, clutching Tenny tightly. "This can't be. My boy is a good boy. I just bought him a new iPhone. I pay his fees. We gave him everything." The officer looked at them both and said something that would haunt them forever. "You gave him everything except your time." Healing doesn't start with apologies. It starts with honesty. And for the Adeyemi family, honesty came like slow rain after a long, harsh drought. The morning after Joshua returned home, the house felt different. Not louder. Not busier. Just real. The air no longer smelled of expensive perfume or construction site dust. It carried the quiet presence of introspection. Of people learning to see each other again. Joshua stood in his doorway for a full minute before stepping into the living room. For months, he had walked through that house like a ghost. But this time, everyone looked up. "Tenny made you tea," Chinelo said, her voice soft, almost unsure. "With honey. You used to like that." Joshua blinked. He sat down. And just like that, it began. Mr. Adeyemi, once the always busy, always working, always elsewhere engineer, became a man of presence. He turned down 3 major contracts. He informed his company board that he'd only work 4 days a week going forward. I almost built skyscrapers while my home collapsed, he told them. Now I need to rebuild my foundation. He started picking Joshua up from therapy sessions personally. No driver. No assistant. Just father and son in the same car, talking, awkwardly at first, but talking. One day in traffic, Mr. Adeyemi asked, "What did you want to be, before all this?" Joshua paused. "A writer," he said quietly, "but I knew you'd never take it seriously." His father looked at him, eyes watering. "I take it seriously now." Chinelo shut her boutique down for a month. Her online customers were furious, her sales dropped, and her followers faded. But for the first time in years, her children were gaining her full attention. She enrolled in a parenting support group. She sat in circles with other mothers, some rich, some poor, all broken in one way or another by modern motherhood. She listened to other women say what she had never admitted. "I didn't know how to be present. I just knew how to provide." And when Chinelo spoke, she cried. "I thought I was doing everything right. I gave my kids the life I never had, but I forgot to give them me." She returned home that night and removed every curated photo from her boutique wall. The perfect poses, the filtered smiles. She replaced them with drawings Joshua and Tenny had made when they were little. Real memories. Real love. At first, Joshua hated therapy. He sat with arms crossed, eyes down, barely speaking. But over time, the walls began to crack. He talked about the pressure of being the golden boy. About how no one noticed when he was drowning. About how the internet became his substitute family. About how guilt ate him alive every time he saw the disappointment in his parents' eyes. But slowly, he started writing again. Poetry, short stories, even a blog. He titled it, "The Boy They Forgot to See." He didn't care about likes anymore. He cared about healing. And his readers? Other teenagers just like him. Broken, ignored, aching for connection. He began speaking at youth centers. Not as J. Rebel, but as Joshua Adeyemi, the boy who crashed but climbed back. Tenny was the glue, the unexpected savior no one saw coming. She remained close to Joshua, never judging, always watching. Her love was simple but powerful. "Are you okay? Want to play Ludo? I made Puff Puff. You want?" She became his shadow and his light. One night, Joshua told her, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." And she smiled and replied, "That's what little sisters are for." By the end of 6 months, the Adeyemi home looked the same on the outside. Same walls, same furniture, same paintings. But inside, everything had changed. There were family game nights. There were one-on-one talks. There were shared tears and group hugs. There was forgiveness. And slowly, there was joy. Not perfect joy. Not Instagram joy. Real joy. Hard-earned joy. The kind that lasts. For years later, the Adeyemi family sat in the audience of a packed auditorium in Lagos. It was a youth leadership conference, one of the biggest in West Africa. The banner above the stage read, "Voices of the Future, Reclaiming Our Youth." A host stepped onto the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "please welcome our next speaker, Joshua Adeyemi." Thunderous applause erupted. Mr. Adeyemi stood. Chinelo's hand clutched her chest. Tenny jumped up excitedly and whispered to her mother, "That's my big brother." And then, Joshua walked on stage. No longer the frightened, broken boy who once wore hoodies to hide. Now, he stood tall, in a simple black shirt and jeans, confident, calm, and alive with purpose. He looked at the crowd, students, teachers, parents, influencers, leaders, and smiled softly. Then he spoke. 4 years ago, I wasn't here to inspire anyone. 4 years ago, I was in a holding cell, angry, confused, addicted to attention, and starving for love I never thought I'd receive. I was part of a movement that promised me power, but gave me pain. I almost lost everything. my future, my freedom, my family. Why? Because I was trying to scream through my silence. The hall grew quiet. I am not telling this story to shame anyone. I'm telling it because somewhere right now, there's another boy scrolling endlessly through social media, feeling invisible. And maybe, just maybe, his parents are in this room. Murmurs stirred in the crowd. We are in a generation where parents feed their children with money but starve them of attention. Where a child posts pain online and strangers notice, before their own blood does. Where homes are full of gadgets, but hearts are empty of connection. He paused, locking eyes with a mother in the front row who had already begun to cry. Your children don't want more phones, more games, more clothes. They want you. Your time. Your presence. Your eyes looking directly into theirs, not over your phone. Be curious about their world. Ask about their day. Be present. Because if you don't listen, someone else will. And the world doesn't always love them the way you should. The audience sat in stunned silence. No music. No flashy slides. Just truth. Then Joshua stepped back, took a deep breath, and delivered the final words that would echo across the nation. I was almost destroyed by my parents' absence. But I was saved by their decision to return. Don't wait until your child becomes a statistic. Don't wait until the police call your phone. Don't wait until the internet raises your child. Be the first voice they hear. Be the loudest love they feel.